Hello, everyone. Yo soy la doctora Alberto, and to continue the celebration of Principals Month, I have the pleasure to have Dr. Jose Aviles. He is a graduate of King University. He studied sociology there. He then went to St. Peter's University, where he earned his Master's of Educational Leadership, and he also earned his doctorate from Seton Hall University. He is currently the school principal at Barringer High School in Northern New Jersey. And during his tenure at Barringer, test scores attendance have increased while suspensions and dropouts have decreased. He is also the author of several publications and a book called Peer Mentoring in Schools. Welcome, Dr. Aviles.
Thank you for having me.
And you have been a principal at Barringer for just almost 2 years, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And in that time, you really have seen a huge difference in terms of attendance and dropout rates, and you really have been able to connect to your student body. Through your own personal experiences, in our prior conversations, you did mention to me, a little bit about your story, and you have an incredible story of resilience and perseverance. Can you share some of that with us?
Okay, so I think part of the reason why we're so successful at Barringer High School, because I don't want to take all the credit, right? I have a wonderful team, and since 2018, graduation rates were about 50%, and at the end of 2020, we had a resurgence of a 20 percentage point increase in graduation rates, which is pretty phenomenal in just under 2 years. Part of that is being able to connect with students. As we know, Newark and certain areas of Newark, certain populations struggle with the socioeconomic status and obstacles that are placed in their past with violence and drugs. And Barringer serves a community that many students come from those backgrounds. I think part of the reason why myself and my staff connect well to these kids, because I always talk about our personal stories, making those connections. I grew up in the projects of Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s, and that's pretty much when the crack epidemic hit, and the destruction of these areas where people struggle normally just made it worse. It was this destruction of the ghettos and the people that live in them. And, myself being a product of that, overcoming obstacles like physical abuse, like sexual abuse with family. Many of my family members are coming to drugs, violence, suicide. I got to a point where I feel comfortable sharing my story. And anyone that's willing to listen, I'll share it. And what the students really appreciate is they understand that I'm not just a suit and tie. I come to work every day, understanding that the obstacles I have to face, and understanding that we have to be compassionate with our students, and really sending that message to the teachers. So the students really appreciate. Well, that's my dog barking. Onyx. I'm sorry about that. Understanding that, making that connection with students and really sharing my own personal story with them, they really understand that I connect and I understand what they're going through, and that they have to continue to move forward and really strive to achieve their education. So that, I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to connections with students, is that each and every one of us has a story, and not one story is more important than the other. Everyone's story is important, and understanding that and sharing that with students, they really gravitate and really step up to the challenge. They understand that they get rejuvenated and really understand that, listen, these problems are not going to last forever, and I will get through this, and I will move forward. And I think that really pays off when it comes to helping and serving these students.
Thank you. One of the things that you are a big believer of is mentoring. Tell me a little bit about the role of mentoring in your life.
So part of my ability to overcome these obstacles is connecting with people that are older than you. My cousin was a mentor early on. Having uncles that were mentors early on, connecting with people that understand your struggle was critical. I think part of that, my passion for mentorship is my failure. I believe, I perceive, to connect with my brother. Unfortunately, my brother has spent most of his adult life in prison. And I have another half brother who is sentenced to 40 years in prison, unfortunately. And my inability to connect with him. Uh, I understand that school is important and I needed to do something different. So in my perceived failure of helping my brother, I felt like this is something that I needed to do for my students. So for each and every one of my students, I see my brother. I see the struggle. I see the pain. I see the need or wants. They want you to care. They want you to care. And I think uh, with that relationship, strained relationship with my brother, kind of just manifests itself in what I'm doing in education. Uh, as far as my brother is concerned, though, he really came around, right? So recently, my mother passed away about a year ago, and my brother had an opportunity to live with her a few years before that, and really got his life back together and is recovered. So I'm proud to say that my brother has been out of prison for the past 3 years, has maintained a job, has given up drinking, has given up alcohol, has given up drugs, marijuana, and he's completely clean. And it's never too late. Like, so my brother's a perfect example how it's never too late. And teaching my students that and telling them about my experience and how I feel and what my passion is, that it's just never too late. So with mentoring, I translate all that, actually, obviously, we talked about me writing the book, uh, but that compassion and pain kind of translated into my writings. And I developed a program for the kids so that they have an opportunity to advocate for themselves. So I have students, I train seniors and juniors to mentor freshmen and sophomores. And that is extremely important. Why? First off, the seniors and juniors really step up their game. Their GPAs increase because one of the big components about mentorship that I love is leadership by example. They have to lead by example. You can't tell your mentor they have to get good grades if your grades aren't good, you know. So they really understand that, and they end up, so it benefits both the mentor and the mentee, because the mentor is like, okay, now I can't behave a certain way because I have to set the example, and the mentee looks up to the mentor and gravitates to them. And I'm very intentional about who I pair up. Right, so I'm not looking. So my mentors are, good students, but they don't have to have like a 4.0 GPA.
Do you have
And
selection? How do you select the mentors? How you pair the students?
social capital is one of the big things. People like, how do you measure social capital? So yeah, obviously the student government, right? So if you participate in student government, we want you to be a mentor, right? If you participate in sports and you're a captain of the football team, we want you to be a peer mentor, right? Those are the obvious choices, right? But then we have, unfortunately, our gangs or cliques in the building that don't necessarily do the right thing. But we have members of gangs who are in school that understand that school is important. And the weird thing about gangs, the older gang members, is they actually motivate their younger gang members to graduate, which is, so it's like people think of the concept of gang, they think of, oh my goodness, no, absolutely not. And learning how to leverage that, right? So understanding that we're coming from a socioeconomic environment that perpetuates this, right? So, and it's not going away anytime soon. How do we leverage that? So what we do is we recruit, like gang members recruit their gang members. We recruit students that have the social capital, that they're respected in the community, and we connect them because essentially they have 1 foot in the gang and 1 foot in school, and they realize that the gang life isn't for them for the rest of their lives, right? But unfortunately, the circumstances dictate that they have to be part of a gang, right? But they know they want more. We help them navigate that, which is very difficult to do. And then with their influence, we pair them with someone that's maybe struggling, uh, discipline, that's fighting, that's not cursing, whatever the case may be. And we are intentional about pairing those individuals to get that freshman back on the right track. So leveraging the leadership responsibilities and leadership skills that these individuals already possess is critical. So connecting with the community on all levels, understanding these are the obstacles we face. This is a card that we dealt, and how to navigate that. So that's another part of our process as well, and that has paid off tremendously. It's what's funny is the amount of fighting decreased tremendously because of understanding who these individuals are, leveraging them, and having a conversation with them, saying, "Listen, this can't take place after school. I don't want it to take place outside of school, but it definitely can't take place inside of school." And the kids are like, "Dr. Vilas, we got you," and respecting them on that level is critical. It's huge. Because unfortunately, my family, I have family members that were part of gangs, my brother being one of them, understanding that they do have something to offer. And how do we get them back on the right track? That's the goal, right? Because none of our kids are disposable. No, we don't throw them away. I reach out to them. We'll drag them across the finish line. We have to. But the mentorship program really capitalizes on all those aspects. We have a great program, which everyone is mandated to be a peer mentor, is our student ambassador program. And all of them have to be mentors. They have to connect with someone as a freshman. How powerful is it that you have someone, a freshman, that's unsure, that's afraid, that's being picked on, right? To have them have a mentor that's the captain of the football team, and the captain of the football team sits with them during lunch. Immediately, all those issues of being picked on and bullied disappear almost instantaneously. How powerful is that? And then parents, they request it now. They're like, "I want my kid to have a peer mentor. I want my kid to have a peer mentor," because they know the power of mentorship. I understand the power of mentorship, growing up when I came from, and essentially going from the projects in Brooklyn to a doctorate degree from Seton Hall. That's a huge path. And along the way, mentors were critical. Gravitating to people who are already successful is critical. What do you do to do this? How do you get that? And most people are willing to share, but you have to ask. So the power of mentorship, it goes through every category you could think of. From business to being a plumber to being an apprentice to being a mechanic. You need to connect with someone that has that skill set so that they can show you the way. Relationships. Having relationship problems. I call someone that has been in a relationship for many years, and I ask them how do we navigate this problem, and that's mentorship. Speaking to someone that has more experience in extending that hand is mentorship, and mentorship encompasses every aspect of life, and being able to understand that we need to be compassionate and care about each other is critical. So the kids love it. They love the program. It benefits both the mentor and the mentee. We had 50 last year, close to 50 mentors last year with 50 mentees. The goal is to expand the program to maybe about 100 to 150 students, and teaching them the three types of leadership skills. We talked about leadership by example. Servant leadership is understanding that leadership isn't about power, it's about service to the people you're leading. You have to serve them, right? Leadership by example, servant leadership, and transformational leadership. Knowing that things are in constant flux, things constantly change. If you want things to happen, you have to change. You have to change. And once that change takes place, then you can take the school or whatever organization you're in charge of in the right direction. Transformational leadership is critical when it comes to Barringer High School, and understand that mindset of failure. We need to stop. It has to stop.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing the things and the wonderful things you are doing at Barringer High School. And thank you so much for everything you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you.